What's going on, guys? I'm Billy.
All right, what's happening? This is Pete Reilly, and this is
The Modern Man's Podcast.
I've been slacking with my bedtime lately. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Tell me about it.
I get like a second wind at night. Like last night, I was so fucking overwhelmed. I told you, like I went to the dentist, came back.
So, what works for me, and this is the truth. I come home from work, or I come home from football practice if we have football practice or a game, and if it's not too late, I cook dinner with the kids. Mary got them kid-safe knives that can actually like cut an onion or whatever.
Oh, yeah, you got to tell everybody about that, by the way.
And we do prep work.
Yeah.
So like I'll give each kid a half an onion to cut or a couple cloves of garlic or whatever it is. And they're chopping while I'm chopping. We're listening to music. Usually we're listening to Alan Longo because it's not super kid-friendly. But
Right. You were saying that.
Somewhat kid-friendly depending on the song. And they love listening to it. It's upbeat. So we're singing, we're cooking. By the time we're done eating, I have found a little bit of center for me. You know, it's like kind of helps me find my zen. And
so you're finding your zen during that whole prep period, and then you guys have dinner. Like, then what? Like, I just feel like I have nowhere to fucking, like, I can't even escape for a second. Like, I almost went for a walk last night. But by that time, like, I was tired. Everybody else was tired. Everybody else fell asleep. And I was like, oh, yay, silence. And then I'm just like scrolling through fucking Instagram. And,
but you didn't take...
I was up till midnight last night.
But you didn't take that 20 minutes?
No.
To bring yourself from a 10?
No.
To like a 4?
No, I felt like I was still at a 10 at like 11.
So I'm able to come in the house and let's say I'm at a 10.
Yeah.
Let's say I cook with the kids and I'm enjoying that father, son, daughter time with Rosie and Max. Josephine's a little too young for it still, but it brings me down.
Yeah.
Just being with my kids brings me down, and then doing something calming and serene, like, sounds stupid, chopping an onion.
Yeah.
It's
no, I totally get that.
And, you know, you're singing, you're dancing, you're having a good time with your kids, and you're centered, and you're focused on something other than the drama and bullshit outside of your house. So, like, all day I'm chasing a checkbook, I'm following money, I'm looking for work, whatever it is. I come home, and for that 30-minute little bit of downtime, I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
I got music going. I got a task at hand that's not stressful. What's the worst that happens? We have to order out if I fuck up dinner?
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
You know, you got to find that zen a little bit.
I know. I do.
Do a cold plunge. Get Mason in a cold plunge with you.
No, like, dude, that shit's all well and good. It was just like... So we went to the dentist. And then him and I had all intentions of, like, playing Madden. So I, like, planted this Madden seed in his mind. Then he's upstairs, and I'm like, hey, dude, I got to take one for the team with Mama. I'm taking the babies to orientation. I see his shoulders slouched down. I'm like, fuck, I kind of knew that was going to happen, but whatever. You know, so then, like, we went, and that was a whole fucking shitstorm, dude. The way I explained it was, like, pretty calm. Like, it was stressful as shit. Their body heat's on me. Then they're freaking out the whole way home. And then Carter's saying, we got to go get a Nerf gun. So I take them to CVS. We go back from CVS. We go back to the house. Mason's still there with his shoulders. So what's going on, dude? You said you were going to play Madden. Well, what the fuck, dude? Your mom trying to keep your fucking mom happy. I got the little ones up my fucking ass. What do you want, dude? So then I felt this like,
He's young, just like Max is young. And Max gets disappointed when if I tell him we're going to do X, Y, and Z and A has to be done. They don't get it. There's so much that goes into keeping everybody else happy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I don't focus on me at times or you don't focus on you, but everybody else comes first.
I know.
You know, it's kind of my role, at least I see, to make sure my daughters are happy, my son is happy, my wife is happy.
Yeah.
Because if they're not happy...
Then I'm definitely not.
Yeah, I'll never be happy. And you want to talk about finding peace, you're never going to find peace in a house where kids are screaming, your wife is miserable. You might as well stay at work.
You're right.
You know? So
work is more peaceful than home a lot of times.
There are a million times that I'd say, I want to go home.
I know.
But the flip side to that is there's a million times that I've realized, what am I missing being at work? You know, Josephine had her first day of school last week. Granted, it's preschool. She's going to help Hal. All my kids have been through there, and it's wonderful. So I've been there for Max's first day. I've been there for Rosie's first day. I physically could not make my schedule work to be there. We had a couple guys out. We had a hectic day, busy schedule. I just couldn't do it. But my mother says to me, you didn't go to Josephine's first day? I said, I couldn't do it, Mom. She goes, you went to everybody else's. I said, Ma, I just couldn't find the time. I couldn't make it work. I had stuff to take care of. And she made me feel really bad. But then I put it in perspective, and I'm like, that was a shit move on my part. Like, she's my third kid. I've experienced it twice, but I'll only experience her first day one time.
Right.
So that was selfish on my part, and I gave it up for work. What's the difference? We talked about it before. No one's going to forget you worked late or you worked, or no one's going to remember that except your kids.
Yep.
Granted, she's 2 and she won't remember that when she's 20.
Exactly.
But it puts things in perspective.
No, it really does, man. And when you were talking about keeping your wife happy, the kids happy, I think about that image that you see the shield or you see the dad's back and he's got all the arrows in it and the family is right in front. So if we're wearing this shield every day, then we have to understand what comes with that. So what I'm getting animated about are things that I signed up for. Like, lean into that, embrace that. We're talking about being modern dads and how everything looks a lot different now than it once did. You could either stress and bitch about that, or you can embrace it. And in order to embrace it, we have to do these things for ourselves, even if it's just a small moment of time. I also have problems feeling angst for my clients and stuff at night. A lot of people are done with work at that time and they're looking for me. Now, I was removing myself from my phone and then finding these windows and coming back to it. And now I'll find myself on the phone, not listening to my wife, not listening to Mason, whatever the example may be, singular focused on that. I could be doing just fine at home. Everything seems amazing, but Abby knows something's going on with me. My mind is somewhere else. So
I could relate. We, I coach Max's flag football team. I coach with Scott. Scott's our head coach. And there are times that he's got to yell at me because I'm getting a work call and I do have to walk away and I take it. Mm-hmm. And it's tough, but finding that balance. But are you doing your client a real service by taking that call? Because in the back of your mind, you're thinking about your family. Are you really giving your client 100% of you? Which I'm sure you are, but you're getting grief on the other end, and you're working as hard as you can for your client. And that is the life you signed up for.
Right.
But you also signed up to be a dad. You also signed up to be a husband, just like me.
Yep.
So now maybe Abby understands it. Maybe Mary doesn't understand it. Maybe Abby doesn't get it. Maybe Mary does. But no matter what, they're still going to feel like they're taking a back row seat
100%
to the rest of our life.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it's a little different. When me and Mary met, she had a big-time job. She was making over 6 figures in her late 20s. Now we're closing in on 40. And she's at home and helping me with stuff, and I am the primary breadwinner in the house, and it's on me now. But she knows where it was when she was working, that I had a different type of balance at home. I didn't have to work as hard. I had a safety net. There ain't no safety net now. So when I'm in, I got to be in. When my brother's in, he's got to be in. We're working because without us working, none of it works. I got 30 guys that work for me. They're not getting paid if we're not successful.
Yep.
My kids aren't eating. My wife's not good. I'm not good. The lights are out.
Yep.
Those stresses, bro, they'll take you out, man.
I know. This weekend, I got a little bit stressed, and Abby actually asked me if I was all right because I just got real quiet. To your point, the ladies know when we're carrying something, or But for me, she flat out tried to start up a two-way convo, and I was just I just don't feel like talking.
Sometimes you just can't have it.
I was just shot. We had football Saturday, 2 practices Sunday morning, came home, was kind of clean, and then it was just the trickle down from last week. I woke up early and ran with Sean to dine in the morning. Then I had another late night into an early morning, and my body, my mind starts telling me that it's time for bed, like before my body does. So I have a hard time, like either like shutting my mind up and saying like, suck it up. But and Abby sees it too. It's like every few weeks I'll just get to this point where it's just like, my mind can't take anymore. My body can't take anymore. Like I just need to just sleep and disconnect. And anytime I get to like these points that I kind of like crash and it'll be like an early bedtime and I'll sleep for like 10 hours, I don't carry that. Like I no longer have that. So I wake up the next morning and I'm like myself again. Yeah. But I always feel bad at like that Friday night before I crashed. It was like maybe 8 o'clock and I was just done. It happened to me 2 weeks in a row. I was just done. And I can't hide it. Like, I can't act energized. I can't act like everything's okay.
You can't pretend.
I don't hide
my
emotions well. Like, I'm either all in or all out, and I can't hide it. But, you know, Abby does a great job with, like, understanding me and, like, what ticks. And I was actually glad that she was like, hey, do you want... I'm like, listen, I just don't feel like talking about it. I'm just shot. I could tell you everything right now. And it's the same song and dance. We know it's The Attorney or this didn't close on time cycle. Or that didn't climb on time. Like, you've heard everything going on. It's just different names right now. But that's what I'm wearing. But I woke up the next morning. I apologized. I'm like, hey, babe, I'm sorry. I just kind of... It's been a lot going on. I started explaining a little bit. She's like, no, I totally get it.
Now, do you think any of your big drive for physical stimulation plays a role into that? Like, you're up, you're running. I see you all over social media. I know your personal life. You and Lonnie will go run 10 miles on a whim. Do you think any of that plays into you reaching those points of exhaustion?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's the physical exertion. I think sometimes it could be a perfect storm, like what happened to me with the seizures. Like they didn't say, like everybody was asking me, oh, what happened? Was it this? Was it that? And I was like, no, like the way they described it, it's just a perfect storm. Yeah. Like in order to get a tornado, you need like a certain amount of moisture, a certain amount of wind, like a few different elements. So that's kind of in the back of my mind as I'm going pretty hard too. I'm reminded of that stuff twice a day when I take the medicine. But yeah, I'll start to get a little bit weary of that stuff when I'm like, okay, you went hard yesterday. Like, when's my rest day? Yeah. And I'm doing a better job. But when it comes to the physical exertion and stuff, that stuff keeps my mind clear.
Yeah, but it might be keeping your mind clear, but it's clouding your body, right? So I know for me, I've recently started through your motivation and some people around me. I linked up at Leaks Fitness. You know that. I go 3 days a week. We do a lot of boxing, a lot of high-intensity training, and 3 days is the right balance for me.
Right.
Any more than that, I don't know if I could handle it on top of my workload, my emotional stress, my physical exertion. Any more than the 3 days I'm doing might put me over the top.
It's true.
You know, and I really don't know right now. Right now, I know that I wouldn't be able to do what you do. Not successfully. It would ultimately crash me 100%. Physically, I would never be able to do it, but mentally, I know that I can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's admirable watching you do it, but then hearing you say, you know, on the flip side, you do have those moments where you crash, and, you know, it's all about finding balance, right?
Is.
You know, I mean, we're kind of here talking about finding balance, so kind of fit the topic.
Yeah, you know, I found myself being up a little bit late last night, like I was mentioning earlier, but I was supposed to work out with Dev this morning. I texted Dev last night. I'm like, bro, I'm out for tomorrow.
Self-aware,
like,
bro. It's the best thing you could do. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, like I haven't worked out in a few days. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
I need to, I have to avoid that perfect storm happening again.
Good news is,
I'm in control of that.
Yeah, good news, though, you're not going to have a dad bod overnight, so you'll be all right.
Yo, dad bod's more contagious than COVID, so, you know.
Well, stop sitting next to me because you'll catch it. But you work so hard. I mean, I'm glad that you were able to take a step back, be self-aware, and put that pause in this morning and realize, like, all right, self, we need to reboot a little bit, rest and relax.
Yeah.
You know, and, I mean, you look good. You look happy. Not that you don't every other time I see you. You're positive Pete for a reason. And, you know, maybe you just needed a little bit of a reset.
Yeah. You know, Positive Pete was really created off of bringing other people up. And
you've done an amazing job of it.
I'm starting to realize that more people call me Coach Pete than they call me Pete, which is actually such a huge blessing. And I don't, I don't take that lightly at all, the impact that I'm making on young people. But that really, truly fills my tank. Like, we can't really see our body battery too much. Sometimes I wish I could, like we do on our phone. If your phone's at 2%, you're scrambling for the charger. If your body's at 2%, you know, we can't really see that.
You
we
don't
can
even
feel
know,
it,
yeah.
You know, but if my body's at 2% and I get to, you know, make somebody else's day or change somebody else's life, my battery just went from 2% to 100%.
So Sunday I was talking to Abby, and I think I told you, but tell me if I didn't, about Rosalie and the cheerleading. When we're talking and I'm giving her that pep talk about doing her cartwheel, and I said to her, you gotta listen to Coach Amanda, blah blah blah, and then we rehearsed. Who are you going to listen to? Coach Pete. You are her life coach. I'm telling you, you are Coach Pete to my 3.5-year-old daughter who's been wrestling with you for 2 weeks. Granted, she's known you the majority of her life.
Right.
But you're Coach Pete. Even my 3-year-old knows that.
I know. Coach Pete should have just relaxed when she did that cartwheel onto the mat. And then we all just flipped out, and she started crying, and she didn't come back on the mat for a little while.
Nah, she's cool, though. She needed that because that was right after the pep rally. She did one cartwheel that she was supposed to, and then she got really shy in front of everybody.
That cartwheel was so good, though, dude. I couldn't help it.
She's, Rosie's like super shy and then super confident and outgoing, all in the same shot, right until she realizes everybody's eyes are on her, or they're laughing, or they're telling her good job. That's when she like shuts down a little bit. And then she's looking for dad.
Yeah, I saw that.
But it's been tough for me. And you'll get it. You got a daughter. I have to respond to her different than I would respond to Max. You know, her and Josephine I couldn't relate to them. I never thought I'd be a good girl dad.
Yeah.
But here I am, and I want to have a tea party with my daughter.
Right.
I wish I had hair. I'd go get it done with her.
Right.
I'm looking forward to her being a little older so we can go get our nails done.
Yep.
So I can go home and bite them because I'm stressed or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, I started connecting with her and realizing how she operates. Mm-hmm. And I have to address her different than I have to address Max. And I have to coddle her a little bit more.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just finding how you interact with people. Because, like, I interact with you different than I'll interact with Matt at work or Zach or whoever it is, you know?
Yeah.
You pull a different person out of me than, let's say, Zach does or Robbie does, you know? So everybody's interactions are different, and mine with her Sunday when she fell got her back out there. But Johnny Reilly shined with her.
I know, that was amazing.
Johnny pulled her out there. She loves John.
I know. Rowan was in that relay race. Yeah. Carter was in the relay race.
Rowan was killing it.
I know. It's amazing. There's a big gap between Mason and the two babies. So sometimes I'll think, like, dang, there was a point in time where we had an only child for 5 years. He got all of our attention. Now he's almost 9. He's got Xbox. He's got his videos. He's doing his own thing. And I'm trying to find that same time with them without neglecting him. So that's when I end up on like this, I can't be everywhere at the exact same time. And I'm trying to like embrace my moments with them. Like I said, not leaving him on the back burner. So we try to find our time together through like Madden, or like he's at the playing catch stage. So like he just wants to play catch every day. Again, we got 2 swings in the backyard. You got 1 baby on each swing and playing catch with him. That is like so overwhelming for me because I have to push one, push the other before I get screamed at for the football, get screamed at they're going too slow, get screamed at again, and now I'm just all over the backyard, and I'm just like, I don't get any time for myself. But then I watch what Abby did all summer with the babies. And like she was home with the babies all summer, and I was kind of just out of the house doing my thing. And I'm like, I found myself having less patience with them because I wasn't with them as much. And I didn't I would just be like, oh, Abby's got it. Abby's got it. And then I'm like, wait, sounds like Abby's got a lot.
Yeah. I want to hope that I'm nurturing as much as I can be, but I'll never be as nurturing to my kids as my wife is.
Definitely not.
And I don't think, and this isn't me talking negatively, I don't think you'll ever be as nurturing as Abby is. I feel like women are just built different.
For sure.
And they're going to be more attentive. You know, getting back to, 1,000 years ago, we're out hunting and providing as a caveman, and here we are as a modern father, a modern dad, and a modern man, and we're learning to adjust to that. So now Abby's back at work, and it's on Coach Pete again.
Yep.
Coach Pete forgot what it was because Abby was home and got a little bit spoiled.
I did.
Just like I often get spoiled with my wife at home. You forget everything that they do, and you think sometimes, your partner is here to help, and you think maybe you're carrying more water than them. But you got to remember, they're providing the same level of balance to your home that you are.
100%.
Without my wife, I don't work. And without me, she doesn't work. And I'm sure it's the same in your house.
Yep.
You do things that Abby can't, and Abby does things that you can't. And that's why it works.
For sure. No, you're absolutely right, man. Before we were talking about football, and, you were mentioning that Scott calls you out for, being on the phone. I don't look at my phone during practice.
You're a better man than me.
Well, I leave my phone on silent, okay? It's great during practice, but then I have to, catch up on everything that I missed. And that is pretty anxiety-driven for me.
The anxiety on the way to looking at the phone must be incredible.
Yeah, the unknowns of what to expect. And then, the deep breath of, okay, I only got 2 missed calls or a few texts or a few emails. But, yeah, so then I'll pretty much check the missed calls first. I'll hit those people back. I check the text, check the emails, and then I'm home. And then once I'm home, it's kind of okay. But I like removing myself from the phone during practice because if I had my phone at practice, I would just be a mess. It's in my pocket or it's by the water bottles. Yeah. But I do better away from that. And then if one coach called me out for being on the phone, that would really put me over the edge.
So I wish I had the discipline to do that. But no matter how hard I tried, and I try to ignore the phone, there's a lot of calls that I won't take.
Right.
But there's some that I have to. And that's part of the reason I have to keep the phone on me. If my mother calls me, if something happened with my father, whatever. But I use that as an excuse, too, to keep the phone accessible. Because the amount of, I'm not going to say fear, but the unknown variable of what you're walking up to, I'd rather deal with any problem right now in the moment than in an hour. I don't want to put it off. I don't want to ignore it. Let's figure it out and let's get to it. Yeah. And that doesn't matter if I'm at dinner, I'm at football. I was on the phone during my wedding working. And it's a shitty quality. It's a shitty thing to do. But it's how I'm built, and I'm trying to find a way to counteract that. And being around you and a lot of things you've said or example that you've put forward for me has made me a better husband today. A better father, definitely, but a better husband because you've made me appreciate what I do have instead of thinking about what I don't have. So I don't have balance perfectly for me. But my wife provides a lot of balance perfectly for our house.
Yeah.
So, I might not have it, and I might be going a mile a minute under the surface, but she's keeping the kids calm when I'm home or whatever it is. I can't do it. I mean, I could try, but I can't do it all by myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's interesting for me to hear that I'm impacting, other people's household in a positive manner because sometimes when I'm home, I'll think about the fact that we're about to share our relatable stories about how to be a good dad and how to be a good husband. And like I was saying, when I was in those moments where I wasn't really feeling myself over the weekend, Abby feels that trickle down. So I'm helping other people, but I can't forget about Abby in those moments either. I don't want her to be the pincushion for me feeling stressed out. So I'm glad that I can help others, but I also still have to be conscious, how's things going in my house? When was our last date?
Yeah.
It's hard not to take things for granted. We've been together for a while. We have an anniversary coming up on the 9th. And it's man, we blink our finger and all these years go by. Don't want to get stagnant. I don't want her to feel stagnant or things to get stagnant. And with the kids, it's really hard to prioritize your relationship. Yeah. So I've learned from a lot of other people, like, hey, have a scheduled date night. Like, when did you guys go away together? Like, having those convos and just making that stuff a priority, because, like, you know, side note, divorce rates are like super prevalent and they're like through the roof for our society. And like, it probably, like, every household probably has something that they're like, oh yeah, you know, this could completely break us. Yeah. But like, you know, bent, not broken. But if we could just actively stay ahead of some of these things and just do small things to make sure that that's not a possibility for us.
So marriage isn't easy, right?
No.
Nothing is easy, but marriage especially. Anybody who tells you they have a perfect marriage or a perfect relationship is a liar.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't know a couple that doesn't honestly fight. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have arguments. It's the nature of the beast. You have two personalities blending into one. You're not going to be on the same page every minute of every day. I might have had a bad day. She might have had a bad day. You could have had a bad day. Abby could have had a bad day, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's just not there at that moment. But you got to work through it, right? Mm. So, I mean, there are certain situations that are going to present itself. You're just not gonna keep your cool, and you know, you might argue, you might yell, but in the end, is it worth walking away from? And Never. In my mind today, social media has made it so easy to look and say, look at this couple. They're always so happy on the internet. They're going away here. They're going there. They're always smiling. They have the perfect life. Now they're showing you the perfect life. You don't know what they actually have.
I know.
Or what's actually going on behind closed doors. Everybody's fighting. And not that I take comfort in that. But
right.
I'm aware enough to know that not all that glitters is gold. So when I see people all over, they're always so happy and they're living the world's greatest life, there's probably some issues that they're not telling you about too. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to know their issues. But I need to be willing enough to accept that just because they're portraying a perfect image doesn't mean it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know people's struggles.
For sure.
Unless they're willing to tell you.
For sure.
And social media makes people real comfortable to show you their pluses, but never their negatives.
I know.
You know. And I got plenty of negatives, and we can talk about them any day of the week when we're here.
Same here, brother.
I'm happy to acknowledge them. I am who I am because of them. They've made me the man I am and the father I am. I'm not proud of some of it. I'm not mad about any of it. It's all brought me to this moment, just like I'm sure you have stories.
100%, man. And it just seems like the social media highlight reel. Just don't get wrapped up in that. Don't get wrapped up in that. We're all going through it, whether you're married, not married, have kids, don't have kids. Sometimes people will say things like, oh, you know, you can't compare, you know, to my life. Yeah, I'm not looking to compare. The things that another individual have gone through were devastating to them because that's all they know. Things have happened to me that have been devastating to me because that's all we know. So we're all kind of like writing this same book. I'm on chapter 37 right now. Chapter 36 was a hot mess. And it got super bad for a while there. And chapter 36 of Pete Reilly's book, I think really helped get us here because I saw something at the bottom there in myself when I was really having a hard time with my own thoughts and the overwhelmingness of life and just got into a really, really dark place. And I think that dark place helped create this light. And I say, you know what's a little bit different about me? I'm compassionate and I'm vulnerable. I think a lot of people are walking around with a lot because they want to be the old school guys to kind of, yeah, I got it. I'm all right. Are you all right, dude? Like, it's okay to not be all right. Like, we're all fighting the good fight. Being a human being, I don't know where this image of what our life is supposed to look like came from. Like, I don't know if we were all in school, elementary school, high school, that they painted this picture of, like, this perfect life that we were going to all experience. But no matter who it is, like, they're all going to die at one point. They're all going to have to overcome obstacles. They're all going to get to these breaking points that they either broke or they found their way up. And I think that's really kind of what got us here, our vulnerability to be able to share our story. So when other people are kind of going through these down moments, maybe we could be a sounding board for them. that, hey, things are gonna get tough, but you know, this too shall pass.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, the way I'm approaching life today is different than my father at 38 approached life. It's a different mentality, a different environment, and you know, part of that is the social changes around us, but it's us evolving a little bit. You know, mentally, I think we're leaps and bounds from where we were 40 years ago as a society, just being able to grasp certain topics. I don't need to be hard. I don't need to be masculine every minute of every day. It's okay for me to be emotional. It's okay for me to cry. It's okay for me to tell my wife I had a terrible day and I just need you to hold my hand and tell me it's going to be okay. That's all right. It's all right for me to pick up the phone and say, Pete, I'm just not all right now. Like, I need to talk to you. I need your advice on something. Can you help me get out of this rut I'm in? Yeah. You know, everybody goes through it. And, you know, whether it's work, marriage, being a parent, health, drugs, drinking, whatever it is, everybody's got to struggle. And you don't have to go through it alone. I've helped, you know, I've been around people that have needed help and have gotten themselves help with tools that I've been able to provide them or resources. I know people have used resources you have to get some mental health help, coaching help, whatever it is, you've been able to get kids or people back in the right direction. And being able to provide that level of support to people, when I got it from you, you know, Pete, you don't even realize how many times we've talked that you've taken me out of a dark place just because I felt alone, like I didn't have anybody to talk to. And you were able to coax it out of me, or just things you said resonated with me. So you help me, I can help this one, and that one can help that one. It's nice to be able to share that circle, you know, and maybe we can reach out and branch out and build a little bit of a network to get everybody some help and everybody some support and let everybody know it's okay to talk about their ups, their downs, you know, but everybody's got to realize when you have those big high ups, you're going to have some really quick downs sometimes too. True. You know, because you're burning the candle, and whether it's financially or emotionally, you're working so hard to achieve a goal. What happens when you achieve it? Because now you're at the peak. Yeah. Of what what you built up in your mind as the peak, but like, now where are you going? There's got to be another peak, I guess. But you got to take a breather, right? Really, so now you're sedentary, and you're finding that moment of rest. And sometimes that's a scary place. Yeah. When you're left alone with your thoughts, and you're left alone to think about what's happened in the past or the fears of what's going to happen in the future. Yeah. It gets scary and it gets dark. You know, when your mind's occupied and you're climbing that mountain, you don't have time to look down and see the fall. When you get to that little peak where you could take that 30-minute breather or whatever, and you look down and you're like, oh, shit. One wrong step and it's over. Or, oh, my God, I got all this left to climb. That's where it changes, and that's where your outlook changes. So, I don't know. I mean, I know I've had those moments, and you've brought me balance. And hopefully I've brought some other people balance in the meantime or in return. Absolutely, dude. And like, your giving nature, like I've been living life as me for 37 years, but I don't really get a chance to find too many people that I come across that are all that much like me. Like, nobody is the same. Like, we're all different in our own ways. But my point is, what really I resonated with you was like your giving nature and your like eagerness to want to help other people. And I think we need more of that shit, man. Like, I don't know. Like, you were talking about 40 years from now, or 40 years ago, like with dads, how they look. Like, sometimes I feel like everything has gotten so fast, so quick, and we have all the answers right on our phone. Yeah. Like, do we continue to go at this speed until what? Like, we don't see humans face to face? Like, I don't know. Or the robots? Like, I don't know what the future is going to hold there, but I feel like there's something to be said about 40 years ago. Like, let's get back to that. Well, you had to connect, right? You didn't have... I couldn't pick this up and send a non-emotional, completely detached message to you. Right. So, like, if I'm angry and I'm fighting with Pete Reilly, I go on my phone and I could say a whole bunch of stuff that is really hurtful. And I know that I don't have to worry about watching you hear it or how you're going to respond. Telephone tough guy mentality. Yeah, but now it's commonplace. People want to text. I want to talk.
Right.
I want to see you and talk, or I want to talk to you on the phone. I want you to hear my emotion. I want to hear your emotion. Everybody else wants to text and hide behind that because there's no emotion to it.
Right.
Right now, let's see. I have 396 unread text messages. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to primarily communicate via text. If it's important, please call me. If I think it's important and I should call you, I will.
Right.
I'm never going to phase out that human to human interaction, because when we're texting, I realized it the other day. We're driving and the car has Apple CarPlay. I get a text message actually from JJ. Who's saved in my phone as JJ Golf Cart.
Nice.
I get a text message from JJ. I press the thing on the screen. JJ Golf Cart said, and then it tells you what he says. I don't even have to touch the phone. I don't have to talk to JJ. I press reply, or it asks me, do you want to reply? Yes. And then it beeps and you say what you want to say. There's no human contact. I'm literally telling a machine or whatever, a computer, what to say to another person. It's crazy to me. It takes out all that personal connection and growth.
Yeah. No, absolutely. How do you have that many text messages that you haven't read? Like, I have to zero mine out.
Because if it's important and I ignore it, they're gonna call.
Yeah.
If your car broke down and you need me, you're not gonna text me. And if you do text me, you're gonna call me.
Right.
A lot of these messages are people soliciting or people that menial nonsense.
Right.
I know if Pete Reilly needs me, Pete Riley's going to call me. If it's work related, you're not going to text me. And if you do text me, shame on you. Pick up the phone and call me. Call my office, send me an email, whatever. If the phone rings, I'm always going to answer it. To a fault, if the phone rings, I'm going to answer it. If a text message comes through, that's where I'm drawing the line. I don't need to text you.
Do you think that your willingness to pick up the phone is a big indicator why you guys are always so busy?
I think it helps because I'm super accessible. Up until the most recent batch of business cards, which was probably 2 months ago, every one of my business cards, which I've had to hand out tens of thousands of cards.
All had your cell phone?
Oh, every one of them had my cell phone number on it. And not a work cell phone. The cell phone that's on me at all times of day. So a lot of messages I get are from people at work that I handed a card to that are texting me. If I don't know you especially, please call me. I don't need to text you. If it's important and you want my time and energy, please pick up the phone and give me your time and energy.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't answer text messages. I mean, I'll answer my wife. I'll answer you 95% of the time. Anybody that's really important. I mean, all my messages come up so I know who it is. But if I don't know, there's no need for it. If you need me, call me and let's connect.
That's true.
But yeah, that's probably why we're busy. Up until now, every card had my number on it. I've always told my customers, I don't care if it's Sunday and you need a gallon of milk. If you need it and can't get it, call me. We'll figure it out. And it's the truth. We've always been like that.
I love it. Then you got Maddie over there. You got Zach over there.
And, Zach I wouldn't have in my life if it wasn't for you and the Reilly Wrestling Club and everything that you've done, not just for my kids, but for me personally as well as professionally, playing golf, interacting in the community, just building those bonds and bringing Zach on board and getting more involved in the wrestling community than we were before with AYF or whoever. And no matter what, without fail, everywhere I go, thanks for this, thanks for that. I see you're really close with Petey Reilly. I'm riding your coattails and you don't even realize it. You don't even realize it.
Mike Heyer, he's probably going to be one of our guests at some point.
Be excited for it.
Mike Heyer said to me on Sunday, he goes, you are in so many conversations that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you. That's nice. And I'm starting to kind of listen to that stuff. But my mom was a special ed teacher. She's a helper. She's a giver. She burns the candle at both ends. She falls into the same type of things I do, that she just gets extremely tired and her body will, she'll get sick and she'll kind of be out of commission for 3 days. And then once she's feeling better, she's right back to doing the same thing.
You come by it honestly then.
But that's an honor to me that other people are saying good things about me and I'm coming up. And, I know what it feels like to be a young kid, in a tough sport. And I think a lot of people kind of miss the boat. We get to certain ages and we forget that we were teenagers or we were young kids. And I think I do a really good job of putting myself in their shoes and like reading their energy and feeling their energy, good or bad,
but you dictate the energy too.
Yeah.
Like the story you told me about the center on your football team, I think speaks volumes of the person that you are.
For sure.
And it's the epitome of Coach Pete. Mm-hmm. You took a kid who didn't realize he was doing something great, that felt like he was overlooked, and you made him feel like the biggest rock star there was. Yeah. And I think that's incredible.
It is. It's definitely a gift that I have. Who shouts out to center in an AYF team?
Coach Pete does.
But he's good buds with Mace. He's been coming to the club. Football is a special sport. It's a team sport. It's a family-oriented sport. In 2023, society is so selfish. And like wrestling selfishness, I'm kind of numb to it by now. Like it still bothers me, and the families are still extremely selfish. But the kid's got to make weight. His teammates ain't giving him a scholarship. Like I get the wrestling selfishness. The football selfishness, though, I can't relate to. I do not have time for that. These kids come up to me. Did you see me? Did you see what I did? And all they keep saying is, there's no I in football. FOOTBALL. And I spell out football. There's no I and there's no me. It takes the center to have a good snap. Maybe that was all he did. He snapped the ball, but he was able to hand off. They ran for a touchdown. There's blocks. Everybody wants the ball. You don't block, you don't get the rock. That's my line. You want to run for a touchdown? Prove that you can block.
Yeah.
And whole nother conversation with football. We can go on and on about AYF, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm really embracing it. I'm finding my lane and my role as the coach.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah. But I'm not the head coach, so I kind of wanted the kids to have the respect of the head coach, and I kind of stayed back a little bit.
You think you did that on purpose?
Because, I totally did it on purpose.
I mean, you are, in every circle I go to, especially in the wrestling community, let's focus on, when you walk in the room, you are the guy that has been the coach. You've run the program. You've been the face of every wrestling program in Howell, whether it's Reilly Wrestling Club, Howell Predator. There's people that are only there because of Coach Pete. There are people that only get involved because they know Pete Reilly. Howell High School even. Every one of those kids talks about you. Now, Gags has a great program. He's obviously a great coach. But there's a lot of kids that tip their hat to you. You were there for them before they got to high school. Mm-hmm. You were there for them for their rise to that level.
Yeah.
The DJ Henrys, the JJ Matchnicks, the Ortegas, whoever it was, you've been there for their rise.
For sure.
So did you need to take a step back maybe a little bit with football?
I consciously made that. Yeah, I consciously said, these kids, they need to know Dave is our guy. Dave is amazing. He does an awesome job. I watched some of the other teams throughout practice, and I watched what we're doing, and I think Dave's doing a phenomenal job. We took a serious L to Wall. They just kind of blew the doors off us, and I noticed that our effort wasn't there, the enthusiasm, some of these things that we do have control of. I'm not talking athletic ability. I'm not talking about going undefeated. So after we took that L on Sunday, our next practice was Tuesday. So Tuesday, I'm talking to Abby all day Sunday about it. And I'm like, what can I do? How do I get this out of them? So I show up Tuesday and they're just doing handoff drills. And I'm like, guys, we got to find something inside. I'm pointing to my stomach. I'm like, character, courage. What's inside you? After a bad moment in life, what defines you? That's what we're looking for. All right. So we got this little guy, Donovan. He's lighting it up the other day. And I'm like, Donovan, dude, you're feeling it tonight. What's going on? And he's pointing to his stomach, and I kind of forgot about it. And one kid is going, character, courage, inside. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But that's Coach Pete.
Yeah,
that's Coach Pete.
But that's life, though. Football. And one of my lines to the wrestling parents is hey, don't know if you noticed, but our kids ain't seeing too much struggle here in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Paying $15,000 in property taxes. Like, everything's pretty nice around here. If they got to find some struggle on the football field or on the wrestling mat, you should be glad your kids saw that struggle, because struggle's coming. Whether you want Max to have a pressure-filled life or not carry the weight that you do, real life is way more badass than Wall's AYF program.
100%.
So it's coming. It's coming. How you going to handle it?
I don't need him to win right now. We're not here to win. We're here to learn how to lose.
For sure.
And when I say that, people look at me like I'm crazy. I don't want my son to be a loser, but I want him to know how to face adversity and not give up. I want him to know how to overcome, how to scrape his way back, how to fight and claw to overcome, and just continue to try to persevere. Yeah. You don't have to win at everything. No. But if we're going to do it, we're going to show up, we're going to try, and we're going to give it our best effort. Yeah, we're going to learn from our mistakes. We're going to get back on the horse, and, like, that's life. I don't know if it's between the video games or instant gratification associated with life these days, but these young people, like, they just expect to win all the time. Like, they just expect everything to be okay. Like, I don't remember. I was talking to Johnny Ryan. We were talking about our days in Pop Warner. Like, we were just physical by nature. That was all we knew. And, like, now these kids, like, they want the results, but they don't really want to. No one wants to earn it. Yeah, go through what it takes to really. Well, you know what I think that is? And I had this conversation with Mayor. Everything is so accessible, and we touched on this before. You got the phone in front of you. Your kid wants to buy something, or you want to buy your kid a toy. You go on Amazon, you press buy, it's in the cart, buy it now. It's at your front door the next day. Right. Your kid is watching an iPad. They don't like this video. They just got to swipe. Yep. I had to watch an entire show to wait for the next one. Right. We didn't like what was on. I had to watch. Right. I had to watch the commercials. I had to watch the show I didn't want to watch, and then wait for the next show to start. It's true. Now they get everything. They don't have to put in an effort. They don't have to earn it. Whether it's, like I said, watching an iPad and just swiping to the next show, or you don't have to wait for the toy. You don't even have to go to the store. You don't even have to go to the store. You just press the button, it shows up at the door. Press the button, it shows up. Why do they have to earn it? If that's the world that we're currently living in, then we need to be aware of that. Because I was giving to a fault for a long time, like, especially with just Mason. So I just got a Madden 24, and now he wants NBA. And I'm like, okay, you're either putting that on your Christmas list or NBA's getting earned. You're going to earn 2K. Yeah. So we got a little side thing going on with the tackles and good blocks and stuff. And we evaluated his game, not in a serious manner, but I'm like, you think you earned it? He's like, well, did you see this? Did you see that? I'm like, yeah, it was good. I heard his name announced the other night. It was good. Let's see what these next few weeks look like. And let's see if you could bring that same intensity. We'll see how you look in practice. Like, I know darn well he's getting NBA 2K. It's only a matter of time. But if I can give him a little bit of incentive, like, nah, dude, you got to work for this crap, man. Stuff ain't just handed out. So I realized that Max started riding a bike. He taught himself how to ride a two-wheeler. And I was so excited. We had just moved into the new development. Mayor calls me. She's like, Max started riding a bike. She goes, she sent me a video, actually, and I called her. It's him riding the neighbor's bike. He just got on it, and within 10 minutes, they said he was riding a bike. Yeah. She sends me a video. I'm, like, pumped. I go to SC Bikes. I buy him a $400 Harrow for a 5-year-old. Yeah. What a moron I am. Yeah. But I'm, like, riding high on it. So we come home, and I'm telling him, like, Max, I bought Rosie a little pink one with tricycles. I was just like, I was doing this yeah. Kid always puts the bike on the ground, like, doesn't use the kickstand. That he insisted he had to have the kickstand. Cool. That shit didn't fly in our day. Bro, I spent $400 on this bike, and you're throwing it on the ground? I will be damned. I will cut the bike in half and put it in the dumpster. But I got really tired of coming home, seeing the bike on the ground. And I have gone out of my way now to explain. If you want to keep the bike, you're going to earn keeping the bike. You're going to take care of the bike. Yep. We are not going to treat this like just a little toy that we're going to toss aside, and if it gets broken, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but that's the thing. How do the kids determine if everything that we're gathering is like this meaningless, this cheap crap that like we know they're just going to get like something else? Yeah. Like, how is he supposed to determine that bike is a high value item? Well, now we're teaching him in my house. Yeah. What we have to do. We have to respect our things. Good. If they're making a mess in the basement, they got to clean everything up. There's no more. And Rosie's the best. She sings the cleanup song that they taught her at PAL.
Nice.
She loves cleaning. Max will sit there and he will take 6 years to pick up one Nerf bullet off the ground.
He looks like he's cleaning it up.
He's trying to pretend and trying to avoid it. Rosie's running back and forth. Clean up, everybody do their part or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And she's loving it.
Everybody do your share.
Yeah. Max is now learning that we have to value the things we have, or they're going in the garbage.
That's
and
it.
I don't care what it is. There's going to be a complete reboot on that.
Yep.
I don't want to see our stuff on the ground. Your mother told you to put your sneakers away. Pick your sneakers up. Put them in the cubby where she told you to put them. Your jacket, your shirt, because we're going to stop replacing them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's going to be a hard reboot in my house.
Definitely.
So,
but you're better off doing that now than having some entitled little punk teenager.
Now I got some entitled punk 6-year-old.
Yeah, but we're better off at 6. You can still mold him.
He's great. You know Max. He just feels himself a little bit, and it's my fault as a parent. You know, modern dad struggles. I let it get to that point. You know, we see our neighbors or, you know, our friends or their friends at school and their parents. Kid breaks something, instantly replace. Kid breaks something, instantly replace. Whatever it is, they've always got it. And I fell victim to that. I didn't want my kid to feel left out. I didn't want him to break something and not have it back. Now we're gonna grow up like I grew up. I had everything I wanted, or everything I needed, nothing that I wanted. And that was fine with me. You know, me and Michael, we got like, you know, the cheap sneakers, and I'm okay with that. We got the cheap bikes, and then my dad got a little bit of money and we got some nicer stuff. But I always appreciated the nice stuff I had because in the beginning, we didn't have nice stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so he's got to realize it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. Bruce Lee has a line that he says, it's what you leave in them, not for them, that matters. So like you can get them, buy them, everything that you can afford under the sun, but none of that stuff means anything. Yeah. It's all about what you're leaving in their, like we were talking about earlier, their character, who they are as an individual, who they are as a person. Are they giving? Are they helping? God willing, Mason is just so good right now. Like he's going into 3rd grade, and I could just tell he's a good kid.
He's always been that way though, since I've met him, at least.
I know. And to me, like that's so amazing. I do get a little bit fearful on like what the years are going to look like when there's like chicks around, alcohol, drugs, like how he's going to handle all that stuff. I'm hoping that me not having any alcohol as a part of my life, I hope he has a little bit of an easier transition than I did with that stuff. I hope he does a better job with peer pressure. I hope he's more of a confident kid in himself, that he doesn't look to follow the wrong kids just to,
I get it.
You know, so all that, but like at the core, like I'm just super proud of like who he is, like as a person.
Well, he's always been a leader. Even the Impact days when Max was young, I remember him always going out of his way to help the younger kids, whether it was Max or Francis or Jack, whoever it was in there that was younger and just learning something that Mason had been doing. He was always willing to help, and he would go up to Max, you're doing it this way, it should be done this way, or whatever. And never in a bad way, never condescending, just in being a genuine leader and a genuine friend. And I would expect nothing else having Pete Reilly as a father. Having Pete Reilly as a father set that tone, set that standard. You showed him how to do that. Just like you're worried about how he's going to adjust to being put in those positions, you've set that standard. You've shown him how dad does it. This is what dad does. And he might be disappointed you didn't play Madden with him the other day, but you can't tell me that in his world, dad is not at the top of the mountain. So you're setting that standard for him, Pete. You're crushing it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. But that word dad, in society overall, in the United States, by the sheer numbers, like that's not really something to be celebrated in a lot of households across the country. So the fact that we are in those situations, that we're aware of the importance that we have in their life, that just means everything to me.
Well, so, you know, listen, even here right now, there's a lot of dads that don't want to be engaged, that don't want to be dads.
Right.
There's a lot of moms that don't want to be moms.
Right.
I'm here and I want to be a dad.
Yeah.
I want the good, I want the bad, I want the pretty, and I want the ugly.
Yeah.
I want to dad, and I want to dad hard.
Yeah.
And I think I'm trying. I don't think I'm perfect. I know I fucked up along the way. I think I've done some great things. I think I've done some terrible things. I've had some missteps as a parent. Who hasn't?
Yeah.
But I'm trying. There's no handbook, right? So for every parent that doesn't want to do it or is scared to do it.
It's not too late either.
It's not. You can always take the bull by the horns. Like when we had Max, it was easy. There was one of them. He slept most of the time. Like, this is a nice introduction.
This is easy.
But by the time we had Rosie, I had a 2-year-old that's running around, screaming, yelling.
Oh, yeah.
We had to watch him. We had to take care of a baby. Now you're in the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to be a parent. And now you got to figure it out. A lot of people would have shied away from that maybe, especially Rosie was really sick as a baby. She spent just under a month in the NICU.
Oof.
Came home. She wouldn't eat. They were going to put her on a feeding tube. She lost so much weight. She was in the 4th percentile. It was really bad. So it was challenging, and a lot of people would have shied away from that. I'm here, and I'm not saying I did it the best, but I got through it.
Did the best that you could.
So if you got something that you're struggling with today that's holding you back as a parent, or you're afraid to step up because maybe you've made some poor choices along the way, and you think it affects your parenting.
Yeah.
Get in there. Give it a try today. Let the man you are today or the woman you are today dictate the parent you are tomorrow.
Right.
Get in there. Try. Mix it up. You know? You're going to have bumps and bruises, but get through it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. The kids only see us in the lens of who they've seen throughout their lives. Mason doesn't know 21-year-old Party Pete.
Yeah.
I never gave him, he never got to see that.
But he doesn't need to.
I know that was part of my story, but the lens that he looks at me at is much different than the lens that I probably see myself in, because I know the whole timeline from 0 to 37. He only knows when I was 29, you know, with no alcohol in my life. That's all he needs to know, and it's more than enough for him. And there's really no sense. I spent a lot of time overanalyzing my previous mistakes, or, you know, the way I would view life, or, you know, what I would do on a daily basis, whatever it may be, where it's like you said before, like all that stuff just molded us who we are in today. And like, if you didn't go through some of those hardships, like probably not where you're at today or going to where you're going to be.
Right now, you think Mace looks at you and he'd rather hang out with Coach Pete or Positive Pete, or you think he'd rather have Party Pete back?
Oh, forget it. Party Pete would end up seeing his kid on the weekends.
But that's what I'm saying. So now think about that position, right? So you had a great time as Party Pete. I've heard the stories. And there were a lot of people that had a great time with and around Party Pete. But are those same people? I'm sure there are. But the majority of them around for Positive Pete and for Coach Pete and Dad Pete, I feel like the majority probably aren't there, because for the most part, people are around for, you know, their benefit, in the sense that we're going out with Pete and it's going to be a great night tonight. We're all getting hammered. But now we're hanging out with Pete tonight. We're going to sit down. We're going to have some pizza. We're going to sit in the backyard. We're going to talk. The kids are going to play. We're going to laugh. We're going to chat about struggles. Maybe we'll cry a little bit, whatever. Because that's growth, right?
Yep.
So, like, I've embraced that Pete. I've embraced that Billy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when I was 28 years old and I was going to go-go bars all the time, we were getting hammered, throwing money. It was the best time ever. But those people are not part of my today, because I've grown, and a lot of those people have not grown. You know, so you've grown, you've matured. Here we are today, sitting here discussing crushing it as fathers, or trying to. And, you know, a lot of those people that were around for Party Pete, or were around for me going out, you know, 5 nights a week and living what I thought was the dream.
Unfulfilled, though.
Yeah. So now here I am, and I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. I'm passed out by 9:15. I'm watching the Food Channel, and like it's the highlight of my week is going to Leaks Fitness with Coach Pete making a guest appearance. You know, like it's a complete dichotomy, right? So like I know Max loves Dad, but I'm pretty sure if I was leaving every night to go get hammered, or you know, go out and do whatever, he wouldn't be pumped.
Yeah.
Rosie would be pissed. Josephine would be yelling. You know, they need their time with their father. Yeah, they need time with their mom, but they need that time with their dad.
That's true.